has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, Joe, I always love to let you know, and everyone know, now you got to have the new SportsGrid app. It's absolutely ridiculous if you don't have it by now. It's available both at the iOS and the Play Store, and it does so much for you. How about track scores and live odds? Stay up to speed on all the latest content from your favorite hosts. You can follow hosts like Joe Lisi if you want to on there. You can watch or listen to us live anytime, anywhere on the app. Watch SportsGrid on the app. Listen to SportsGrid Radio on the app whenever you want. Maybe even on weeknights at 8 p.m. East when you could pop on Carver and Lisi if you like. So the app's good for that as well. Go get it, as we said, both iOS and the Play Store. It is smarter to be on SportsGrid. Go to sportsgrid.com/watch to check out all of the platforms you can find us on. All right, Joe. Baseball. Big slate tonight. A few things from last night that I wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, a nice, clean, crisp 2-hour and 20-minute Yankee win at the stadium yesterday over the Marlins, 7-0, no problem whatsoever. Volpe with a 3-run homer. And then, Joe, his first homer in the Bronx. Juan Soto getting involved on the Yes Network.
Soto, high fly ball, down the right field line. Garcia back, on the track, at the wall, see ya! A 3-run home run for Soto. He continues to rake, and it's 6-0 Yankees.
How about that, Joe? Soto off to the big start in pinstripes. You love to see it. You really do.
No, this is a different team, Carver. This is a different team.
I'm
9-2 overall. They opened up at 93.5 wins. Guys like you sold it. Sell. 9-2, Juan Soto, Giancarlo, Stanton, Judge. They're stepping up. Even nasty Nestor Cortez is pitching his ass off. It's unbelievable what this team is doing. You're going to buy in again. I love it. You're going to buy into the Yankees.
As I always like to say, and first we welcome in all of our radio affiliates, Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159 and Sports Byline. Great to have you with us. As I always say, Joe, look, April wins are important. They help get you to October. Every win is the same, but I need to see the wins in October to be a true believer in this team. I watched them 2 years ago. Well, they started 2 years ago. They were like 70-20, 75-30 to start the year, and they went in the tank. So I'm not a believer, Joe, until they prove it to me when the money's on the table in October. This is all fun and good, but I ain't getting excited, Joe, until we actually get to serious October baseball for the Yankees.
Just excited. Yes. We're just getting excited with Soto. Wow, Soto.
Just Soto. Yeah. Soto, I'm excited. Soto's fun. Soto is
He's
fun
not going to be here next year. You know that.
50-50, I'd say, Joe. 50-50. The Reds beat the Brewers last night 10-8. You know, Joe, that I love chasing Ellie De La Cruz with the home runs every single night. Last night we did hit with him. He hit a towering blast early in the game, but then he added on a second home run, Joe. And it's one of the, of course, we always love a fun inside the Parker, especially when a guy can fly around the bases like Ellie De La Cruz can on Bally Sports Ohio.
Salute. Bomb. First pitch, center field. Frelick was deep coming on. He slides, it gets by. De La Cruz can fly. He storms to second. Churio gathers edge of the track. Windmill is on. Relay to the plate. De La Cruz. Save!
A windmill.
That's a great call by that's John Sadak there with the Reds. That's a tremendous call, Joe. You can't beat a good, and the guy completely blew it in center field on the Brewers. He should have just let the ball bounce in front of him, and the guy's got a single. Instead, he tried to be a hero, Joe. Dove and missed it, goes all the way to the wall, and when you got that guy flying around the bases, you're going to have a big problem stopping him, that's for sure.
I just had visions of Willie Mays Hayes against the Yankees being the windmill. Come on, Willie. That's
bring him
it.
around, Willie.
Let's bring him around. Call his shots, Behringer.
Jays beat the Mariners 5-2. Was the home opener for them. The Mets, Joe, one of our comebacks last night. They were down early in Atlanta to the Braves, a place they never win. They got a couple of home runs from Brandon Nimmo to tie things up. And then DJ Stewart getting off the deck on SNY for the Mets.
And Stewart hits one in the air to center field. Back goes Harris to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. DJ Stewart's first hit of the year is a go-ahead two-run homer. The Mets' third home run of the game, and the Mets have their first lead of the game.
How about that, Joe? DJ Stewart. Nothing bad having your first hit of the year be a homer. Nothing wrong with that.
No. I see the writing of the story already, all right? Atlanta is going to limp through the season, okay? They're going to be much like your Buffalo Bills. They're not going to be like as dominant as they were last year. But somehow, some way, in September, they're still going to win the NL East, but they're not going to be as dominant. Everybody's going to sell them, and the Braves will win the World Series. So the regular season, they're going to be maybe 60-40. They're going to get knocked around at times. They're not going to look like a contender. And then come September, October, they're going to be hitting stride. Give me the Braves to win it all.
Sounds like you then, Joe, you should wait until that low point. Sounds like maybe June or July. You wait for the low point, and then you're going to buy. You can't buy yet because they're still like the second or third choice.
6-4.
Even with the Strider injury. I'm just saying on the big board, Strider's going to be out for a while. I think you wait, Joe. You buy the dip. Buy when they get real low.
Buy the dip. Look at it. Yes, into support.
Buy the dip.
Into support. I love it. Look at his trading. Buy low, sell high. Or buy high and sell higher.
Dodgers beat the Twins 4-2. I screamed and cried for the first week of the season that I needed homers from Ohtani. Well, Joe, Ohtani is now giving me homers on Spectrum Sportsnet Los Angeles.
Ohtani, last one in the air to deep left field. Martin's going back. Backpedaling into the wall. It's gone. Shohei Ohtani. He's unsure if it's gone. Now they give him the signal and say, yes, sir, you've added a home run to the two doubles. What a game for Shohei Ohtani.
Big night, Joe, for Ohtani. Starting to get hot now. Getting hot the last couple days, your boy.
Well, rumor on the street is that he started back in UConn in the tournament. I don't know. Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. That could be, why he found his groove all of a sudden.
When you don't answer any questions, these are the things that are going to get said all year long. When you don't actually
get some wins under your belt, all of a sudden your bankroll is up, right? The bankroll's back up. That's it.
Phillies beat the Cardinals in 10. The Nationals beat the Giants, Joe, 8-1 last night at San Francisco. Wasn't that the triple dog diamond crypto play tonight for you?
Yes, the solar eclipse. We smashed it. Don't look up, but you can look down when you smash your book into oblivion.
Right, I'm going to come back and give you all the games tonight. I have one more highlight for you, though. When we come back, it's a good one. Coast to coast after this.
Is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16-seed UMBC.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The fact that I've been able to move to a home that I'm very excited about is it's really cool, and so far just love everybody that I've met at SportsGrid, and I'm just super pumped for the opportunity. Sometimes things that I wouldn't feel comfortable asking, whether it was me playing and just trying to get a tidbit on the golf course and certain thing a player might have learned. Now I'm getting that information because I don't mind asking it.
only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. One last game from last night, Joe. A late night game in San Diego. The Cubbies had an 8-0 lead against the Padres. You figured, Joe, you're just going to cruise home with that one. No, that did not happen. The Padres got homers from Cronenworth and Xander Bogaerts, got them back in the game. And then in the bottom of the eighth, Fernando Tatis Jr. put them ahead for good on MLB TV.
High drive, deep left field, at the wall, gone! Padres trailed 8-0. Hernando makes it 9-8. Unbelievable.
How about that, Joe? It's hard to blow an 8-0 lead, Joe. That's tough to do.
Punch themselves out. Punch themselves out.
Punch themselves out.
West Coast. You think the West Coast had something to do with it?
I mean, I don't know. It's the first night of the trip. I mean, I guess. Me, I don't know.
Body clock?
Give me a break. Body clock. All right, we got games tonight, Joe. Let's do it. We will start in Cleveland, where the Guardians and your White Sox will get together. Joe now adopting the 1-9 White Sox. So I have Michael Soroka going tonight. We have Logan Allen for the Guardians. Right now, minus 250 for Cleveland, plus 2 Bills for the White Sox, flat 9 the total.
I'm going to take the 1.5, and I'm going to take the over since you're telling me that the 2 best players are out. I'm buying low. I'm starting to buy the White Sox right now. I think they've bottomed out for a little bit. Dead cat bounce. And this is what it is. Maybe they got 2-3 wins coming out of the week. Dead cat bounce.
The dead cat bounce. Is that what you're going with? The dead cat bounce for the White Sox? Okay.
They've been hammered. 1-9. They can't go down. We're right into support. Now you got to buy them. Look for 3 or 4 wins. Then you could start selling them again. 62% retracement.
Brewers are in Cincinnati again tonight against the Reds. Last night, Joe, they went way over the total. You've got Joe Ross and Frankie Montas going tonight. They're going to give you another fat total here, Joe, 9.5 for these two. The Reds are minus 135, Brewers plus $1.15. I'm going back to it, Joe. I did the over last night, over again with these two. Lots of runs in Cincinnati.
I like the Brew Crew tonight. I think it's an under. I'm not willing to back its second game of this stretch, even though De La Cruz. What do you mean I'm gutless? I don't like the 9.5. I think the 9.5 is a little suspect. Be careful. Tread lightly. Brewers in the under.
Well, if you're doing the dead cat bounce for the Chicago White Sox, I'm guessing you might do it for the Marlins as well. They're 1-10, Joe, after losing at the stadium last night to the Yankees. They're going to have A.J. Puck tonight against Carlos Rodon. The Yankees, some heavy lumber here, Joe. Actually, not as bad as I thought. Minus 190, plus $1.55 for the Fish. Flat 8 the total here. Under, Joe, for me, again, just like last night, and Yankees minus 1.5 at plus 110.
I'm not going to lay the 1.5. I'll lay it with the Yankees. I agree with you under. This is a bad matchup for the Marlins. They bottom out after this series.
Oh, okay. So you're going to play on them this weekend. You're going to go whoever the Marlins are playing this weekend. There'll be a play on for
play
Joe
on.
there.
Put it with the UFL overs.
Right. We'll put it with the golf. We'll put it with the golf, too.
See where Sepp Straka is.
George Kirby for the Mariners tonight in Toronto, Kirby's Dreamland. The Basset Hound going for Toronto, who is minus 115. Mariners minus 105. Flat 8 here. I like Seattle tonight, Joe. Some guys with some good numbers against the Basset Hound, including Mitch Haniger.
Yeah, this is Big Bad Vlad tonight. All Toronto. This could be a crypto play. Toronto and the over. Big Bad Vlad. And the Blue Jays step up at home. They crush the Mariners, and more importantly, the over comes in. Might even play Vlad for a homer tonight.
Wow, little tater time with Vlad for you, huh? I'll see what the numbers are. Maybe I'll go in with you on that. Mets are in Atlanta again. Of course, they had the comeback win last night. Tonight, they'll have Adrian Hauser against Reynaldo Lopez for the Braves, who are minus 185, plus $1.50 for the Mets. 9.5, another fat total. Again, Joe, they got over it with ease last night. I see it again tonight. In fact, I think the Braves will be upset after last night, and they can clean the over by themselves, Joe, against the Mets tonight.
I like under, and I like the Braves. I think this total. I'm looking at it objectively. What's the Braves' run total tonight? 5.5?
For a 9.5 game, I'm going to assume that that's what it is. If you give me a moment, I will tell you. They are, 5.5 over is even money. 4.5 over is minus 155. So, right in that area.
I say they win 5-2.
Braves are scoring runs tonight. Braves are going to score some runs tonight.
5 runs.
That one,
5-2.
That I am feeling pretty good about
tonight. Oh, yeah?
I'll be careful.
Right.
I'll be careful. The Astros are in Kansas City, opening a series with the Royals. Christian Javier and Cole Reagans. Minus 125 for the Astros, who have not played well here to start the year. Plus 105 for the Royals. 8.5 the total. Joe, I like Reagans and the Royals tonight at plus 105.
I can't do that. It's Strohs or bust. I like the over there. I think they break out. I think they could hit Kansas City. I think they break out playing on the road. This is a game that they have to win. They'll smell blood in the water. Give me over in Houston.
The Dodgers are still in Minnesota at Target Field against the Twins tonight. They'll have Tyler Glasnow going against Louis Varland. Minus 185 for the Dodgers, plus $1.50 for the Twins at home. Flat 8 the total here. Joe, kind of feeling the under 8 tonight with the Dodgers and the Twins. Feels like an under.
Glasnow, I'm with you. Under and Dodgers, but I don't love it. Under and Dodgers.
You do not love it.
No.
The Phillies are in St. Louis, and they have Zach Wheeler tonight against Sonny Gray. Phillies minus 135 on the road, plus $1.15 for Sonny Gray and the Redbirds. 7.5 here, Joe, for these two tonight. I say I say runs. I say that the Phillies get a few here tonight off of Gray. Give me the over 7.5.
I'm with you, and I like the Phillies. I think the Phillies could step up tonight. I think the Phillies score some runs. I would go over their run total, and I like Wheeler. Zach, don't call me Russ Wheeler. Zach, don't call me Russ Wheeler. He's going high. He's going low.
A's are off to a bad start as expected. They're 3-7 as they pull into Arlington tonight against the Rangers. Alex Wood and Nasty Nate Eovaldi is the pitching matchup for this one. Minus 200 for the Rangers, plus $1.65 for Oakland. Flat 9 the total, even money to the over too, Joe. You can lay the 1.5 with Texas at plus 105. That's my lead.
Yeah, I would lay the 1.5, and let's go 12 or more runs. I think they get smashed tonight. Oakland
you want to alt the total? You want to alt the total?
Smashed. Huh? Smashed.
Okay. Smashed. Diamondbacks and the Rockies again. Rockies beat them last night, Joe, in Colorado. Merrill Lynch Kelly against our pal Cal Quantrill. Minus 185 for Arizona, plus $1.50 for Colorado. Flat 11 at Coors tonight. Flat 11, Joe. They've lowered these a little bit because the Rockies, of course, don't score many runs. Those 12, 12.5, 13s, Joe, haven't seen them here so far.
Last night was 10.5. They just got over it. I'm willing to take a shot. 14 plus tonight. Runs,
14 plus tonight. Okay. I have, Joe, a couple of late night games left. I will give those to you later on. We have a few other things to do. We got Coach coming up next with the Lion's Share. Davis Maddock after that. Very busy Tuesday here on Ferrall, Coast to Coast, Carver High, and Joe in for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio. We're back right after this.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The Bostonian versus the book.
The books have so much information. Now, the gamblers do as well, but it's coming down to sometimes coaching, sometimes, a good play, a good call. I mean, the block last night that was a block, it was called a foul.
Oh my God.
My God, that was
Dude,
all
we would
ball.
see that highlight forever.
Yes.
And instead, we
got robbed.
We'll never see it again.
Got robbed by a referee making, that's a ref.
They still covered, though.
They did. They did cover.
The Bostonian versus the book.
The fact that I've been able to move to a home that I'm very excited about is it's really cool, and so far just love everybody that I've met at SportsGrid, and I'm just super pumped for the opportunity. Sometimes things that I wouldn't feel comfortable asking, whether it was me playing and just trying to get a tidbit on the golf course and certain thing a player might have learned. Now I'm getting that information because I don't mind asking it.
Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
And we are back. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. BetMGM has got you set up as always. What do we got now? How about a first bet offer of $1,500? What do we got to do? Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if the bet loses. If the bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. BetMGM getting you going with that up to $1,500 first bet offer. Speaking of BetMGM, it is time for the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM, and Coach James Young is in the house as always here on C2C. Coach, today's like it's turn the page day, Coach. You know, we're done. We put the college basketball in the rearview mirror. NBA season, regular season is going to end on Sunday. We'll get into the play-in games next week and then the first round of the playoffs. So a little bit of everything today, Coach, and we'll close the book first. Last night with UConn, a dominating performance like every other game that they played in the NCAA tournament the last 2 years, taking down Purdue. Great, I thought, game plan. We were just saying it off air. Great game plan by Hurley. Let Edey do whatever he wants. Shut the rest of the team down. And he played it to perfection, Coach.
You know, good to be on with as usual, Carver High. And listen, folks, when you're a coach, you go into a game plan saying one or two things. Number one, you shut down the main guy, cut the head off at the snake, and then you let everybody else beat you. Or you play the other way, which is you let the main guy do whatever they want and then lock down everybody else. And Dan Hurley picked the latter, and I thought it was brilliant, Carver High. I mean, if you really think about it, the guard play, Newton, right? Castle, Spencer, outscore Lawyer, Jones, and Braden Smith 47-17. They couldn't stay in front of these kids. And you saw it early on, Carver High. First possession, they threw it inside to Edey, and Clingan went one-on-one. And here's the thing I want people to understand. Oh, Donovan Clingan got dominated. Donovan Clingan, fine. Donovan Clingan didn't care that he got dominated. He was one of the happiest guys on that whole UConn roster. You saw him celebrating at the end of the game. So at the end of the day, it's about the team. And what happened? We figured that the guard play would decide it. The guard play of Connecticut, particularly of Tristan Newton first half, Castle second half, Spencer kind of all the way around. Diarra with some energy off the bench really took it to the Purdue guards where there was a decided mismatch, a bigger mismatch there than Zach Edey inside with Donovan Clingan.
It certainly was. And look, Coach, it was I just thought the tournament as a whole left a lot to be desired, to be quite honest with you. Now, look, we're in a different place here. I mean, we don't mind blowouts if we're cashing tickets. That ain't a problem to us. We don't mind any of that whatsoever. We're hitting unders. We're hitting overs. We got blowouts. That's fine. From a entertainment value storyline standpoint, Coach, and this has nothing to do with UConn being as great as they were, I thought the entire tournament, it just didn't have a lot of gas, Coach. It really didn't this year.
Well, if you think about it, folks, the women's tournament was far superior to the men. Far superior in regards to how close the games were, the parity. But here's the thing. The biggest star in college athletics is Caitlin Clark. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. right? Then you have the storyline of the UConn. Can they get another championship? The elevation of the play of Juju Watkins, the handheld doggos, NC State's women's run. Yes, the men's run was impressive as well, but the women's run, right? So to me, it wasn't even close. It was cinema. It was theater. It was when Caitlin Clark had Iowa up 10-0, we were like, oh no, like this could happen. This could be an upset. When Purdue was winning, I'm like, I ain't worried. They're going to come back and they're going to win this game because that's what Connecticut does. They hit you with like a slow death. And I've said it ad nauseum on this network. Early second half, Dan Hurley's going to say something to his kids. They're going to step on the gas, and the other team's going to run out of gas, and that's going to be the end of it. That's exactly what happened. They pulled away in the second half like they've done literally Carver High 12 straight times in the NCAA tournament. It was almost anticlimactic. It almost was going to be like, how much was UConn going to win by last night? That was going to be the story.
That precisely it, Coach, to what it was. And one last thing, because the Calipari stuff with Hurley. I don't think Hurley's leaving UConn, Coach. I really don't. But, and I know he just won last night, and it's a hard place to ask him about stuff like this. He didn't exactly give a flat-out no chance. He kind of laughed, made a joke about his wife. Today still hasn't really. He's done some interviews. Still hasn't really, Coach, just flat-out said, no, there's no chance. I'm staying at UConn. I don't know. I may have cracked the door open a little bit more than I thought yesterday before that game with him. Just a little bit, Coach. Just a little bit.
You know what? Me being a Jersey basketball coach and coaching against, Mr. Hurley, as in Bob Hurley Sr., coaching against Dan in Summer League when he first got to St. Benedict's prep. This is a North Jersey, like hard hat, nails and glue family from North Jersey. I don't see it happening. What I do think this is between me and you, I think this is a negotiating tactic. The more quiet you are, and the more you don't deny it and talk and deflect it to Andrea, his wife, the more it kind of looks into, we got to pony up the money. Remember, folks, UConn plays Gino Auriemma $3.1 million. He is the number 3 highest paid coach in women's college basketball. They could certainly pony up to keep Dan Hurley. I think Dan Hurley stays, and the guy I keep circling, you've heard me say before, is Billy Donovan. It just, all the boxes check off. Won in the SEC, won a national title, big name, will be able to galvanize the fan base, has developed pros, and doesn't have a big buyout. In fact, and the fact that Chicago is going to reset. Billy Donovan makes the most sense for Kentucky, and I thought about that the minute that Calipari went to Arkansas.
All right, Coach, down the stretch we come here. The NBA regular season ends on Sunday. All these teams have a bunch of games. There's some heavy nights in the NBA here between now and Sunday as we finish this off. We know the 10 teams, Coach, in each conference that are going to make up the playoffs/play-in game. There's nobody else that can get in. Everyone's eliminated. But there's still a lot of seeding, Coach, that's going to be decided over these next few days. So some games of significance throughout the NBA tonight and the rest of the week. Let's get to your picks, though, here, as we'll cover a few of them. First, the Bucks have been miserable lately. They've lost 4 in a row. Really, they've been miserable since Doc took over. They have the Celtics coming in tonight. No Zinger, no Horford. I think those are the only 2 guys out for them here. What do we like with the Celtics and the Bucks, Coach?
It don't matter to me. I can't back Milwaukee right now. I'm going to take the Celtics on the money line tonight. Yeah, they have been covered in 3 of the last 4 games, but they were huge favorites, 17.5, 8.5, 17. This is the money line game against a team in Milwaukee has lost 4 straight, 3 of them as double-digit favorites, 3 to 4 at home. I think the Celtics put the final nail in the coffin. They're ultra competitive. If you're nervous, maybe take the Celtics in the first half. I don't think it matters. Celtics win outright.
The Knicks, Coach, see a lot of the Bulls here over this last week and a half of the season. They were already in Chicago last week. They're there again tonight. This time, though, they're 4.5-point favorites, 212.5 the total.
Yeah, the game against Chicago was that they lost 108-100 last week was on the second leg of a back-to-back after a huge comeback win versus Sacramento the night before, and they had to travel to Chicago. Now they get a day of rest. They're coming off that 122-109 win. Chicago is, they're playing. They're up and down. They're up and down. But to me, this is a matchup that the Knicks take advantage of. I think the Billy Donovan rumors are going to be in full swing, and they're in the Windy City. Give me the Knicks minus the points on the road. They're usually really good on the road against teams under 500.
The Thunder coach it looks like they're going to get SGA back tonight. We know that they are right there for the top seed in the West. Sacramento trying to get out of the play-in spot. They're getting 5.5 tonight at OKC, 227.5 the total.
Well, Mark Daigneault has played this perfectly. He tried to give SGA a little bit of rest, but now, Carver High, you got to start to crank it up a little bit. And this is a spot where I like the Oklahoma City Thunder minus the points. Listen, they were losing a bunch of games. They haven't covered in 4 straight. SGA didn't play. SGA is back tonight. Sacramento's limping after losing Huerter and Malik Monk. Give me the Oklahoma City Thunder minus the points at home. They win big.
The Clippers are in Phoenix tonight against the Suns, coach. Suns have been picking up their play. Some important games here for seeding. Minus 8.5 for the Suns. 226.5 is the total.
This one, I'm a little scared that I took this, but I just got to believe in Phoenix trying to get themselves out of that play. And I don't know how much the Clippers are playing for. I have the 4 seed, 2 games ahead of Dallas. Give me the Suns minus 8.5.
And give me the player prop of the night, coach. What do we have?
Scary Terry, over 15.5 points. Over in 4 of his last 6 games. He's gone over 3 straight versus Atlanta. DeJounte Murray first focuses on scoring. Terry gets loose, over 15.5 points.
Coach, a monster night in the NBA. Let's go cash some tickets. I'll see you back here tomorrow on the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. We're back in the grid right after this.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
I mean, is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I mean, I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16-seed UMBC.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We had the best team in Colorado losing. So there's it's not even like Colorado's going to sit on it, right? I mean, there's no way in the world we're not getting one more goal. We're going to cash this ticket. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I love the bet. I love the price. I think that's, like I said, that's one we're going to have to, we're telling everybody right now. They're probably moving it in risk groups everywhere right now based on us giving out this information.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
North Carolina come back, take the lead, and then somehow Alabama punches back. A true classic. Like the word classic gets tossed around loosely a lot, but that really was a true classic.
Great point earlier about Arizona. They had such an advantage under the basket, yet they're having guys just chuck threes. Their whole game plan sucked from the get-go. Like, the fact that they lost that game, I put a lot of it on coaching.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on Sports Grid and Sports Grid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Davis Maddock is with us every day on Coast to Coast. Of course, Fantasy Sports Today, Saturday mornings here on the Grid, every day on C2C. Davis, good to see you as always, my man. Back in the home studio as well, which is nice to see. Let's start with this, because we have a few things to get to. Obviously, you got some NBA for me. We start to get into Masters Week for the first time today with Davis, but we'll start with the baseball and a few things from last night. Number one, me and you love Ellie De La Cruz. We love betting Ellie De La Cruz to hit home runs. We love all that. And last night was like the perfect Ellie De La Cruz night in terms of what this guy can be. I think, Davis, when the talent fully gets unleashed. You know, he really slumped the last couple months last year. They've dropped him in the batting order to start this year. He's hitting sixth most nights, but hitting a bomb. And then, look, I know the center fielder made a bad play, but watching him fly around the bases last night, Davis, that's the stuff you love about Ellie De La Cruz and the Reds.
I mean, that's about as good as it's going to get. And you're right. It actually is such a perfect Reds game where the starter is not even good. Like he ends up giving a bunch of runs. Like the starter, not even good. The bullpen comes in and they're all right. But really, it all comes down to their young hitters. De La Cruz goes, 3 for 4. He hits that crazy inside the park home run. I do got to say, I mean, come on, Reds. What are we doing with De La Cruz batting sixth? It just, if the whole idea is this guy has the potential to be your franchise player, there just is no reason to be batting him sixth, especially when, it's not like the Reds, it would be great if they won the division this season. It would be great if they made a postseason run. But even financially, so many of their guys are so young, not even close to reaching their arbitration years. Like, you can win 80 games this year, and it's fine. Let De La Cruz lead off. I mean, bat him fourth. If Jeimer Candelario, like a career journeyman corner infielder guy, is going to bat fourth, like just bat him fourth. And my guess would probably be, I mean, that is going to be coming. Candelario is hitting 184. I mean, CES is hitting 136 and not particularly lighting the world on fire. And how about, by the way, we already got our boy Ellie De La Cruz doing interviews in English, man. I love, you could see that he thought that was really cool, where he's like, I'm super into this. I'm trying to connect with these fans. I want to do the interview in English. I always find that very endearing.
No, that's a tremendous job by him that he's already doing that. Look, I think it's great all around. He's fun to watch, and I just hope that continues to keep happening. A couple of blown leads last night. First of all, what's your concern level for the Braves early on here? And look, it's hard. You say things like concern level and stuff. It's you're not even 2 full weeks into the season yet, but they haven't looked great, Davis. They've lost Strider for the foreseeable future. Max Fried gets teed up pretty much every time out now. I mean, they own the Mets in Atlanta, and for them to blow a 4-0 lead against them, it's a little concerning to me. Their pitching isn't that great in the rotation.
No, I mean I think my concern on the Braves winning the division, my concern on the Braves, making the postseason, whatever, like 0 out of 10. They still have pretty much the best lineup in baseball outside of the Dodgers. I have super real concern about their ability to win a World Series and their ability to, win 105 games or whatever, because we've got 41-year-old Charlie Morton, who's been their best pitcher basically this season. I mean, insane, and he wasn't even that good last night. We've got 35-year-old Chris Sale, who has not pitched. I believe he has not made it through the entirety of a season since he was 29. So we're talking about 6-7 years ago. Max Fried, I was never a Max Fried guy. Just like even when he was a really good pitcher, like in fantasy baseball and stuff, I'm like, I need my good starting pitchers to generate more swings and misses. And I mean, we've actually seen this happen a number of times where guys are really good at pitching and contact. They have a great run. Kyle Hendricks, great example. Guy who gets a bunch of Cy Young votes, gets that contract extension, and then once guys figured him out, I mean, that was it. It was over. Reynaldo Lopez, sure. I mean. So if you assume Strider done for the year and assume that Sale is going to go on the IL at some point because that's what he does, where do the rest of those starts come from? I told Scotty this. I was like, they got to start making calls now. I mean, they got to start making trade calls now, not later, because they're going to need someone to eat those innings.
They certainly do. And on the other side, it's a nice job by the Mets, who looked so bad to start the year at home, that they've kind of gotten off the deck a little bit, winning 2 out of 3, winning that second game of the doubleheader against the Tigers into 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, and then coming from behind the first game in Atlanta. They've kind of propped themselves back up to what looked like it was going to be a disastrous start. One last one, the Padres, who were down 8-0 at home last night, come flying back, and the big Fernando Tatis Jr. homer to put them ahead. Another guy that, look, I know what happened a few years ago is what it is. He's still fun to watch as well, Davis. I love watching Tatis hit.
He is still fun, and that team is sort of fascinating because, last year the Padres were like right there with the Mets in terms of being the most disappointing team in the regular season. They kind of give up a little bit this year. I mean, I don't know, is not giving Juan Soto $1 bazillion giving up? They definitely would have done it 2 years ago, so it's kind of interesting to see, but the lineup is still very good. Cronenworth, Bogarts, Kim, Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, all having pretty strong seasons. We'll see what happens with their bench guys. I'm a little bit the back end of their rotation, and Waldron and King I don't think is super strong, but they could end up being one of these teams that maybe benefits from the Phillies and the Braves not having the pitching. The Phillies just have the 2 guys, and then the Braves might have 0 guys. The Braves might have literally 0 guys in the rotation who are like really good starting pitchers. So I've been on the Padres a lot early to start this year.
Let's get to some of your plays for tonight. We'll start in Anaheim, where the Rays are in town for the Angels. Angels beat them up last night 7-1. Trout with another solo homer. I know there's been a stat flying around today, like the percentage of home runs from Trout that are solo home runs is astronomical. He hit another one last night. We have Savale going against Sandoval tonight. What are we looking at?
Yeah, well, the Trout one is pretty fascinating. He's got 5 home runs and 6 RBIs, so pretty hard to do that one. It's just insane. So I'm gonna go over the 8.5 here. So Savale obviously is one of these guys who comes over into the Rays organization. What happens? Oh, they immediately fix him. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's throwing that sinking fastball. The Rays, they always fix everyone. I've been a non-Savale guy for a long time. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's like allowed the most hits overall in baseball, and a lot of the times these pitch to contact guys are really good walk rate guys, but Savale is not even that. I don't really buy the K rate, and I'm not a Sandoval guy either. I think they're both fairly middling, and the Rays lineup is, it is what it is. It's one of the best lineups in baseball because of how they manage their guys. So 8.5 felt a smidge low for me, so we're going to go over there.
Trout has now hit 10 consecutive solo home runs dating back to last season. He's hit 235 of his 373 with the bases empty. 63% of his homers, solo homers. That's wild when you think about all the home runs that Mike Trout has in his career. Let's go to the NBA now. Me and Coach were actually just talking about this game. Celtics in Milwaukee tonight. Bucks have been miserable, Davis. What do we like with the season, the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to be a pretty popular opinion tonight, but I'm going to be taking the 62-win Boston Celtics -2 on the spread here. I'm going to assume that Horford and Porzingis are not going to be playing in this game, so it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do against Brook and Giannis there in the front court. Do you start Kornet? Do you start Tillman? Do you start Brissett and just go super small? I actually would think that'd be a pretty good game, actually, to start Brissett and have Tatum be the power forward. I don't think they will. I think they probably will start Kornet in that eventuality. But Tatum, Brown, and Derek White are all good to go here. I mean, look, the Celtics, even when these guys rest, even when Horford doesn't play, even when Porzingis doesn't, it just does not matter. Their record is just as good with those guys in as with them out. The only one who I think really matters when he doesn't play is Tatum, because they just have no one to initiate offense. And the Adrian Griffin firing and the Doc Rivers hiring looks like kind of one of the all-time weird decision-making things in the middle of the season.
It really does, considering they were 30-13. And Davis, so I've told this story. I'm sure I've complained about this to you. I've told it 1,000 times here on C2C in the last 2 months. Had the Bucks 55-plus wins for this year. Looked great at 30-13 when they fired Adrian Griffin. And this guy, Doc, couldn't get me across the line for 25 more wins and has gone under 500 since. So to say that I'm not the biggest – I wasn't a fan of Doc to begin with, and to say that I'm really not a fan of him now, Davis, is saying something. All right, we know that it's Masters Week here on Coast to Coast, which I thought we were going to really kick off with Smiley Kaufman in the final hour today. And, of course, tomorrow's Golf Wednesday on C2C with the Masters. But no, Davis says we're starting a day early for Golf Wednesday. We're getting it going today because it's Augusta. It's the best tournament of the year, and I got plays. And you bring up Wyndham Clark. I got to tell you, Davis, when I saw Wyndham Clark about a week ago, 4 days ago at 25-1 and 27-1, I thought he's played great. Debutantes never win at Augusta. Maybe not, but Davis, you're going to drop to 40-1. I'm willing to bite.
Yes, so our friends over at BetMGM did give us a better price on him, which I think will happen a little bit throughout the week. As I think what's going to happen, my prediction is a bunch of money's going to come in on Scotty and on Rahm over the next 48 hours. Where Wednesday night, I think a lot of these guys, your Ludwig Abergs and your Cantlays, your Hattons, your Wyndhams, your Matt Fitzpatricks, I think we'll get. I mean, not a huge drift, but maybe a 45-1 goes to 50, maybe a 60-1 goes to 70, stuff like that. Because I mean, these books they're just getting pelted with Scheffler and Rahm money. I mean, one, Scheffler because he's the best player in the world by far, and Rahm because no one has seen him, and we just remember how good he was. I mean, Wyndham Clark, if you did not know his name was Wyndham Clark and you just looked at his results, like looked at all the tournaments, he wins Pebble Beach, he wins the U.S. Open, he wins the Wells Fargo, he gains strokes off the tee, he gains strokes ever. I mean, he is one of the 5 best players in the world over the last year. I know he's the debutante thing, but I mean, I had the Zalatoris 100-1 ticket the year he lost to Hideki. And that experience, I know he didn't win, but that experience made me be like, the debutante thing matters some, but it's not going to get me off of a really good price.
Especially a guy who's been around as long as he has. Like, this guy is not a rookie. He's been playing on the tour for years. He's shown you big numbers. Lucas Glover, first-round leader. We could dive into that a little bit more tomorrow, Davis, but 90-1 I've seen for Lucas Glover. I love it.
Book it, yeah. I'm betting a bunch of these guys 90, 101. Glover, old
love
hand.
The big bombs.
You know the drill.
85 golfers. Give me big bombs at 80, 90, 100-1 for first-round leader. Davis, I'll see you tomorrow. Coast to Coast, we're back after this.
Is it pretty much cut and dry that NC State is the biggest surprise of the weekend? I mean, I don't think anybody's bracket had the Wolfpack going this far.
I think they're going to find a way to keep this one close. And we all know Purdue's tournament history under Matt Painter. They've had a lot of early exits when they've been good teams, and maybe this is the time they'll exercise their demons. It's kind of like when Virginia lost to that 16 seed UMBC.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The fact that I've been able to move to a home that I'm very excited about is it's really cool, and so far just love everybody that I've met at SportsGrid, and I'm just super pumped for the opportunity. Sometimes things that I wouldn't feel comfortable asking, whether it was me playing and just trying to get a tidbit on the golf course and certain thing a player might have learned. Now I'm getting that information because I don't mind asking it.
Only on SportsGrid.
89-87, 0.6 seconds remaining. Big drama here in this game. Always frustrating when your Final Four parlay and bracket gets busted, but here we go. I'm done.
Look what he is now. He's on FanDuel, plus 120. Almost even money to win the tournament. So you actually, if you did get him at plus 260, you got a pretty good, better investment than you had before. Just saying.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back. It is time for this day in Carver High history. All right, Joe, let's go. 1959, Celtics sweep the Minnesota Lakers in 4 games for the first of the Celtics' record 8 straight titles. 60, the Celtics do it again. They beat the St. Louis Hawks in 7 games to repeat as champs. 62, Arnold Palmer wins the third of his 4 master titles. 18-hole Monday playoff with Gary Player, hello, Gary Player, and Dow Finsterwald. What? 1972, Jack Nicklaus leads wire to wire to win the 4th of his 6 Masters titles. 78, 42-year-old Gary Player, hello, I'm Gary Player, shoots a record-tying 64 final round to beat several guys to win by 1 stroke at the Masters. 78, in separate NBA games, Denver's David Thompson scores 73 points. And San Antonio's George Gervin scores 63 points. Your boy had 33 in 1 quarter. Joe had the over on Gervin that night. 82, Lakers set an NBA regulation record with 21 blocks against the Nuggets. 87, Gretzky passes John Bellevue as the all-time playoff scoring champ as he scored 7 points in a playoff game for the 3rd time in his career. 89, Faldo wins the first of his 3 Masters on the playoff against Scott Hawk. 89, Tyson strikes a parting attendant when asked to remove his car. A parking attendant for Mike Tyson. He had a parking attendant, Joe. 89, Ricky Henderson gets his 800th career stolen base. 95, Ben Crenshaw wins his 2nd Masters title. 2000, Vijay Singh won the Masters. 2006, Phil Mickelson won his second Masters. 2013, UConn women beat Louisville. 2017, Sergio Garcia won the Masters. 2021, Joe Musgrove threw a no-hitter for the San Diego Padres, which I believe was the first in their franchise history. And last 2 years, Joel Embiid, NBA scoring champion, Joe, as their regular season finished off. We have one more hour to go. Ferrall Coast to Coast next, right after this.